The final chapter for us, the DCEU review in Memoriam. And it's kind of fitting in a weird way that it worked out this way, that it ends in a James Gunn. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about the holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, joined by, as always,
and I'm KP.
The final chapter for us, the DCEU review in Memoriam. And it's kind of fitting in a weird way that it worked out this way, that it ends in a James Gunn project, the future Godfather, the now new DCU.
So he's not just Godfather; he basically is the daddy of it. So, and they have started filming that now. So let's go.
And of course, if this is your first time, the reason we are stopping here is we have already reviewed the rest of this. This is us finally getting caught up on our channel of things we haven't reviewed yet. So, with this week, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, written by James Gunn, starring Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Michael Rooker, Viola Davis, and I'll just end it there. It goes on a little bit, but we'll just put those as the main guys. I'll even throw Sean. He also has
my
favorite.
Two of those people that you named. It's like, yeah, big deal.
Ooh,
cool. They were in the movie.
Who you shitting on?
Huh?
Who you shitting on?
It's like just the kind of shitting on this movie, but I mean, I'll admit, I wasn't like terribly looking forward to rewatching this one, but I did know I was going to enjoy it because I enjoyed it the first time. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I went into it feeling that way, because I feel like on this rewatch, I actually ended up very much enjoying it all over again. This isn't one I really watch like I think I've only watched it maybe one or two whole other times. I do love this movie though. To me, this is like it's a great one to end on because it's one of the best movies in the DCEU. Even though it's very, very like the movie is just stupid, but that's like why it's hilarious. It is hilarious in its own right. I mean, it's like James Gunn just knows how to make great comedy out of just stupidity. And it's like it's a weird stupidity. It's literally like I don't know, just like an arrogance to it, and just an outrage, like just the outrageousness of like certain things that happen. But what I'm shitting on is like, yeah, we have Joel Kinnaman, Michael Rooker, and Pete Davidson in this, and whatever. And it's like they had all these big profile names, and they're on the screen for a total of like 5 minutes.
I like that though.
Sure.
For the Suicide Squad though, it kind of makes sense. I think it's kind of a cool thing. Like, yeah, you got like Nathan, Michael Rooker, David.
Forgot about him. Yeah.
All these other actors in there, and the first team just gets fucking wiped out. It's like, well, yep, that's Suicide Squad. And then all of a sudden now, like the new team's coming in to like either finish the mission or what have you.
Total Detachable Kid. That's what TDK stands for, and he's just the arms pop off, and yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's so yeah, that's the thing. It's so stupid. I mean, it definitely isn't ashamed of itself, and it's just funny as hell. Like too, and they're shooting the arms, and then he's like armless on the beach, just screaming. It's like it's ridiculous. Even the female character, I should know the name. It's even like a pretty like I'm pretty sure uh the orange chick. Oh
Oh,
man, I cannot.
Mongol.
You gotta help me here.
Mongol.
Mongol?
Yep.
Oh, it is Mongol. So Mongol, who I think whichever I don't know who she's a rogue for, which hero. I think it's isn't it supposed to be Wonder Woman or is it not? Is
I mean, I
she
think so. I think she's also kind of like a Justice League villain at times too, because she's a descendant,
okay.
or she Mongol. I can't remember. They did give her a weird pronunciation.
Maybe it's
But yeah,
Mongal.
I think
But like
mainly kind of like a Justice League, but
her whole thing was outrageous. Like, I've got it, flag, and like jumps up, grabs onto a helicopter, and then she's just immediately starts screaming her head off. It's so stupid. And it's like, but you just can't help but laugh because it's like it's just so fucking outrageous and out there. Um yeah, like you said, the first team just gets wiped and I mean when Pete Davidson gets his face shot off, it's like so graphic and like vivid. I mean, you can't help but laugh. It's like Jesus Christ.
that's what I
Um
love about this movie, though. It's very. I think this is the only movie in the DCEU that's R-rated, if I
Well,
remember
Batman
correctly.
v Superman if you watch Dawn of Justice edition.
Right,
And
but
oh, and
that's.
Snyder cuts.
But yeah,
Snyder cut is
those
also
are
R
also the
rated.
director's cuts. But as far as like a theatrical, well, yeah, this was released
Okay.
theatrically. Nobody just went
Uh,
theatrically. They just all watched it at home on Max, but it was still rated R.
well, true. That is what I did as well. That's actually why I think I've only seen it the one time because it came to streaming and I just streamed it the one time. But I always thought it was hilarious. I mean, it starts like so like it just starts like out like immediately like that. This team gets wiped out and you're just like sitting there like what the fuck just happened and what did I watch and of course it jumps back and does the whole like 5 days earlier whatever it was and you know it's more Waller pulling her bullshit and
Get the
getting
introduction to
everyone
the
together.
at a blood sport, threatening with the child being arrested, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, get introduced to the new team. John Cena's Peacemaker, awesome.
It's definitely the best for the most part the best of the movie in my opinion. It really is
I
like
love freedom. I
there's
don't care
like
how many women, children I have to kill to get it.
I love freedom. Yeah. Who I gotta, I don't care how many men, women, and children I gotta kill to get it. Like something stupid, like just an oxymoron statement like that. Just like Jesus, like
This whole beach was covered in dicks. I'd suck everyone for freedom or
yeah,
whatever the
yeah,
fuck he says. Why the hell would
yeah,
you have to suck dicks? He's like, God knows why villains do what they do or whatever.
yeah. That's the thing. It's a lot of the back and forth banter in this is just so hilarious when he's like, is that even necessary? And he goes, yeah, when it's dope as fuck. And he's like, oh, he's right. He turns around, and oh, he's right. Like that was the even better part is how Idris Elba even like plays and right into this shit too. And that whole sequence too, when they're going through the camp, and he just like
Murder.
shoots the guy, and just the guy on the bed that's like getting the medical treatment, he just
Put the axe just.
like yeah, just real quick stabs him like 7 times, and like it's so they're so nonchalant about it. It's the most outlandish shit. And obviously, at this point they're rescuing Rick Flag, or so they think, and um that's the other funny thing about this is like we have Peacemaker, Bloodsport, and Rick Flag, and they even make it a point later to kind of like when they all get out of the armored car, like how we literally have like 3 of the same fucking guy essentially. They just look different, like, and even at that part, it was so funny because like they get out and they're like all in like wife beaters, I think, and all holding like rifles, and it's just like so funny because it's like, yeah, we have literally 3 of the same fucking character. um but I will say I do remember when I very first watched this that the inclusion of the Thinker, I thought was interesting. And I didn't even realize that that was the Thinker too, because they have him look very, very weird. Like he's got like these computer cells or something
Mhm.
sticking out of his head, and I didn't realize that was supposed to be the Thinker. And I remember the first time watching it when that's what they dubbed his name. I was like, oh, okay. And obviously, as we've watched, or I watched too much of the CW's Flash. That is why I know who this villain is. I have some background there from this guy. So that was always interesting. And then, Starro kind of
Starro
being what gets revealed.
the Conqueror.
Starro the Conqueror.
Uh, awesome that Starro's even to begin with. Originally a Justice League,
Yeah,
but cool that
yeah,
still makes an appearance in the. Only leave it to James Gunn to like Starro and the Thinker too.
yeah.
I kind of like how Thinker is not even really like really like like a villain. Like he is, like he's a bad guy, but he's not a threat. He's not really a threat in this movie when it comes down to it. Like
He's just kind of an asshole in this movie, and he's just out for himself. I mean, yeah.
he's just the way that the Suicide Squad gets to Starro eventually. He's kind of like the background of it. Like he's the evil scientist that had been poking and prodding Starro all these years, doing all these experiments.
Yeah.
I think it was really cool actually in this movie that and one thing that I like about James Gunn's movies is he does a really good job of putting a lot of heart into it and a lot of the characters. Like you even feel for Starro in this movie at a certain point. Like the line where he's just like, "I was happy floating in the
Gazing
sky,
at
like
the
gazing
stars.
at the stars." Yeah, and it's just like, I feel for you, man. Like
Mhm.
my life probably would have been better. It's
I
just
thought it
like
was hilarious too how like he didn't even like seemingly want to even conquer the earth. He like literally just said to the Suicide Squad members, he just goes, "This city's mine." And
yeah,
then
I just want Jotunheim.
they just all turn and go their separate way, and I'm like, well, that's not like super villainy of him. I mean, he's just kind of wanting a little teeny bit of like his own conquered nation, and then that's kind of it. And
You guys
probably
poked
just
and
wants to,
prodded and experimented all these years. Just give me this little section right here. This is mine now. Leave me alone.
yeah. I felt like that's what he was trying to get at. Yeah. Uh. Where else was I gonna say? Oh. Yeah. I loved King Shark.
Same. He's my favorite character in
Uh.
the movie.
Yeah.
Nom noms.
Nom nom. No. I like how he had Ratcatcher and he was gonna eat her, and he's just like blasting him with his shotgun shells, and he's like, "Pretty fucking deep sleeper, aren't you?" And she's like, "I was having the most wonderful dream," and so yeah, like at first, like they have to befriend him, and because he's like kind of dumb, which I don't know necessarily like that about him, but it was funny. Also, too, like the second like that he spoke, I was like, "Oh yeah, Stallone's the voice of him." Like that clicked in my head, and I was sitting there like, "Yeah, they actually had like a lot of bigger time people." And what's funny too is like, so Stallone and Rooker and uh, maybe it's just those two, but it's kind of funny how it's like James Gunn like, "Hey, like I had you in my Marvel movies, come over and do this one too," and shit like that. So,
Even Mantis makes an appearance in this movie too. Actually,
who is she?
when they go to that like club and there's like the three dancers on stage, she's like the front one that I think
I did not realize that was her.
Harley is.
Did not
Um,
realize that was her.
um, yeah, but I'm in agreement with you. Like, I love King Shark in this movie. Granted, yeah, I feel like with King Shark, you're going one of the two routes. You're either going like he's kind of the dumb brute, or he's smart, intelligent, also. But yeah, they went the more comedic dumb route, which kind of makes sense in this movie, at least for the tone of the movie. But they definitely let him be just an absolute like he got a lot of the R-rated moments, like ripping the dude in half and like having the
That scene's
dismembered head in
hilarious.
his teeth, and he like the eyes are like moving around. And he like crunches down on it. Like,
Yeah.
they let him be
Yeah,
brutal.
when it's the rainstorm at the end and he's just rips the guy in half. It's so dumb. um
You got the moment where he's
uh
like in the little aquarium with the colorful fish, and it eventually
which that's
breaks.
the full circle funny part of it is like Ratcatcher said to him like, "Would you eat your friends?" And he's kind of like, "No." And then like he befriends these fish, and like the second they're free, they just start trying to fucking attack him and eat him. Like I was like, oh, that's pretty funny, full circle moment on his part. And um Polka Dot was interesting. Oh, and he has also been in
Yeah,
Marvel shit before. I don't know if he was in
and DC.
Guardians. I think he's in Guardians as something. Like he's like some random off character. But yeah, he's been in Marvel and DC multiple times. I can't remember his first name, but I believe his last name is Dalmaskin. Um, maybe it's Danny. I can't remember. But anyways, him as Polka Dot, pretty good. Um, when he do you still see your mom? He's like, I always see my mom, and like every in his eyes, like everyone is his fucking mom, and even when like Starro, like she was gigantic, and like, I'm doing it. I'm a
I'm a hero.
motherfucking superhero. Gets crushed. And even that part, it's just like, it's just so obnoxiously like on point. Like, it's just, you still just laugh at it. But like, you just kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. Like, it was so predictable, but like, and on point, but it was still just, you just sit there and just like, okay, Jesus Christ. Um,
Also, you were right, David
David.
Dasmalcane.
That's Malkin.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I'm not. I probably butchered.
David. Okay.
But yeah, that moment was great for me. Can you remember? Because it was a laugh out loud moment for me, and it was in the beginning where Sean Gunn's playing Calendar Man. What he says when he's shit
I didn't
talking.
realize that was. I didn't realize that was Sean Gunn. That
I
he's
can't remember
that
what
he
his line, but it makes me laugh every single time because he calls somebody a pussy. I think.
he. Oh, he's a.
I can't
Isn't it
remember who
Polka
he's.
Dot?
Yeah, it might be Polka Dot Man, which
Doesn't he?
might have
Does he say
reminded me of
"fuck
it.
you, Polka Dot, you pussy"?
Pussy.
Like
So, yeah,
he
just the
he
delivery
says
of
it
it is
to.
awesome.
Yeah, because it's so random, and it's like you're just watching it, like, okay, that's just like a random cameo of Calendar Man, like you said, and yeah, it was pretty good. I think it was Cap. I think it was Polka Dot, because that's when they're going back through like like Bloodsport's team,
Yep.
because then he catches Weasel like licking the glass like a total idiot, and that character, that whole thing, and like anyone could check if Weasel could fucking swim, like that whole thing. I was just like, that's just too much for me. I was like, that was just too much. Like I wasn't even laughing at it. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was just too much for me.
Yeah, I think
I had
overall the
my
jokes hit, but yeah, there are definitely some that I'm like, a little
a
cheesy
lot
even
of the
sometimes.
jokes that my you want to talk so my laugh out loud moment in this movie is towards like the turning point climax. It's when they go to bust Harley out, but Harley's already gotten out, and
Yep.
she's in the cab and she notices them. And I just lost my shit when she's hugging Flag, and Bloodsport just goes, "What's the javelin floor?" And she just, "I'm waiting for God to tell me." And he just immediately, without hesitation, he goes, "Jesus Christ." And she goes, "Well, maybe him too." And I
Yeah.
literally, just that whole exchange, that was a laugh out loud moment for me. I burst out laughing, like in my own house, just sitting alone watching this on my couch, and that little exchange was the fucking funniest part of the movie for me. I just lost it at that part. Just
That
like
one's a
the
good
whole
moment.
reaction, yeah, the whole reaction of all of the just, again, like I said, the banter, the back and forth banter from many of the characters in this movie is just like ridiculous. Um
Yeah, and I think that's what James Gunn does really well is, especially with team up movies, he does a good job of setting up the threads of being able to connect all these characters together. Like even with Bloodsport and
Yeah,
Ratcatcher 2, with the whole kind of pseudo father daughter relationship they ended up developing in this movie, was
yeah.
also really
It
touching and had a good payoff, especially with his fear for rats, and that coming full circle when Ratcatcher kind of protects him while this mounds of rats just come jumping over him at the
the
final fight. But
well, yeah, because they do it like exactly how she told him, like why, like when she told them all, like the rats would cover us at night, like we were homeless, and the rats would cover us at night and keep us warm in the winter and protect us. It was like, yeah, the same thing. Like all the rats are crawling on him, protecting him, so they can kill Starro, and um.
Taika Waititi getting a random fucking 2 minute
I was gonna,
cameo.
I was gonna say, like, when that cut to it, I completely forgot about it. I just go, "What the hell?" Like, they even threw Taika Waititi in here, and like, yeah, just a yeah, like you said, just a random as fuck, like 2 minute cameo for her background, and it was like, what the fuck? Like this ensemble of people is ridiculous. I loved that. And why wouldn't you tell me that you're afraid of rats? I'm an assassin. I don't just tell everyone my liabilities. Like he's like you know, he's just so good.
Trying to think. As disgusting as it was leave it up to James Gunn to make it like a gorgeous shot when Harley ends up finally getting the javelin and like goes through the eye, and she's like in the eye liquid, but it's like got rats flown in there, like the tendrils of like the eyes and shit. Like it was still like a gorgeous shot.
Yeah, and I love too how like he really hammered her perspective and point of view like better than any of the other movies she's ever been in. Like when she's like killing all those people in the
Awesome.
where she was being held, and it's like all these flowers and shit in the background, and it's all this like happy stuff because she's insane and like she's killing people, but it's looking like little kid friendly and stuff. I was like, that's just like artistically like a perfect thing to do with her. And yeah, and again, like just she's such an idiot. Like
I like how
I am
they
walking back and forth, talking very loudly, or whatever she says.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I like how they've kind of continued this growth with her of independence, but I think they kind of did it a little more cleverly and subtly in this one, where it's like how she falls in
yeah,
love with this prince or whatever, and he says a line or he slips up that he's killed kids at one point, and just all of a sudden,
yeah,
that's a red flag for me. Like,
yeah,
just like
yeah.
she's growing, she's growing a little
Right, yeah.
bit.
She was telling them all she was great, and then she's like, "Well, then you got into your whole plans and killing kids, and that's a red flag for me now. And I just know that there's just only one thing I can do." And like that was her justification to shooting him, and that was pretty good. And yeah, I really
Over.
liked that.
Yeah, I think overall, just the team got to shine. I think even like Bloodsport's design and tech is pretty cool overall.
It's cool.
Not the
Yeah.
best, not the best we've ever seen, especially in a superhero genre, but overall, I thought it was. Um, I don't think if we've actually missed anything. I picked up quite a bit of it.
And you get the whole reveal of why they were there, and then it's the US government that did all this stuff, and that causes Peacemaker to kill Rick Flag, and then
He was Plan B.
yeah. Yeah, he was plan B, and then he's trying to kill Ratcatcher, but then Bloodsport just is on this one tile of concrete that perfectly falls floor by floor. down to it. I mean, that was a little much, but
Yeah.
whatever. And then like ends up he and it was so funny too because like that too came full circle.
Yep, the callback.
The callback of how Peacemaker said some shit about a smaller bullet, and then like he's like, "How did you? How?" And he's just like, "I used a smaller bullet," and he's like, because essentially Bloodsport's bullet went straight through his, and so that was a callback too to an earlier point of some stupid argument they had in the beginning, and
When it was a pissing contest.
yeah, when it was a pissing contest, yeah. It's just an outrageous laugh out loud movie at a lot of the times.
Cool action.
Yeah, it's full of action.
Some heart
Trying to think it. Yeah, like you said, the even though it was gross, like the artisticness of like it's beautiful how Harley's like in the eyeball. And like the hole that she made with the javelin like causes the rats to get in and eat all of his retina, and then eventually get to his brain and kills him. And then you're sad because he
then when
he
he's
just goes,
waddling around,
I
he's got
just
like the half blood.
yeah. He's like walling around, falls over, and then like the controlled humans just say like, I was perfectly happy just gazing out into the stars. And it's just like you were kind of like, oh, I feel bad for this guy.
He got captured.
Waller's team like crosses her back. They knock her out with a golf club. What is
that had to hurt like a motherfucker.
I loved how like the woman that knocked her out just goes like, I can't remember the guy's name. She goes, "Get back on the fucking satellites. Fuck you," or something. Like that was another thing about this movie. There's a lot of just like hilarious random anger that a lot of characters have towards each other. Like it was like the second time that someone just yells "fuck you" to someone else. Just like again, Calendar Man did it earlier, and then at the end, like this chick just says to the other guy, "This fuck you, David, get back on the fucking visuals," or something like that. It's just kind of like pretty outrageous in that regard, but that was also like a nice moment because it's like, oh, Waller is just the asshole. The rest of the team actually has a sense of humanity. So that was nice to see,
For me, back to the Peacemaker and Flag fight, I thought it was a little cheesy where it kind of started off with the like helmet shot where it's on the ground and you're like seeing reflection. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know why.
Just didn't like it.
I kind of like what they were kind of going for, I guess. But me personally, it's just to me.
It's not a toilet seat.
But
it's a symbol of freedom.
I do like how they teased that Peacemaker was going to be in Mortal Kombat, like this movie when he did the the whole X-ray fucking stab through all the way to the heart. And then I do actually really like that line, Flag's last line, I guess, where he's just like, "Peacemaker, what a joke." Overall, yeah, I really, really enjoy this movie. I think it's great. Once we started getting through the kind of the lull of the, trust me, thank God we ain't got. But
it does.
It was getting to a little bit of a lull.
It's the last great movie of the universe. It really is the last great movie of the universe.
Yeah,
after this, they're entertaining at best.
They're popcorn.
Oh yeah, they are. Which is not to say that they're all bad, but they're popcorn flicks.
Yeah. Anything else we missed?
I mean, tons of jokes that are just funny and moments that are hilarious, but I mean, I'd have to watch this more than twice to remember them all.
Yeah, highly recommend if you still haven't seen it. By the great movie, but KP, the rating for this.
I'd say it's an 8.5 for me. It's very, very entertaining, and I, I really like as I rewatched this for really like what was only the second time ever. I remember like thinking the whole time like, man, why don't I rewatch this one more? This movie's just outrageous and hilarious, and just like there's a lot of good about it. So I'm gonna have to give it an 8.5.
I am right there with you, KP. 8.5. I think this is a great movie, great time. And there's art, action, hilarious, absurd, out there comedy. I mean, I feel like if you, you're
I'm
not,
still fucking laughing about the javelin thing. God, that was so funny to me.
um, just yeah, even just stuff like that. Like this movie does really good thing about having these different threads start in the beginning, and there's like full circle moments with like all these different characters where there's such big payoffs.
Yeah.
Those moments that were set up, it's really well done. I know people are
Mhm.
like worried with the Guardians of him taking over Superman. Like, I don't think you're gonna get this tone in Superman.
I mean, there'll
But
probably be some humor, but I don't think that
yeah,
we'll get that tone either.
no, and
Honestly,
this
since
is what gives me
he's
hope about James Gunn though is how R rated he was willing to go with Suicide Squad, which I don't think he's gonna do at all.
oh, I don't think so.
Tone and everything. I feel like is gonna be completely different. Suicide Squad it still shows that he understands that depending on what characters and what let's say comic book we're pulling threads from, they deserve their own different tone. Superman is not going to have the same tone as like Swamp Thing. It's like Swamp Thing is going to be kind of like a darker horror. Not going to be. I don't know. That's something I'm looking forward to. I don't want every single DCU basically like it's in the same lens, same filter, and all that. Like I want them to feel different. That way, when we have a team up movie, we have all these different personalities come together, and it kind of is a like how do we make this work? Personalities, genres, bring them together. Something uh, done right and kind of creatively.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Like, you know, Marvel fans like myself and MCU fans like myself will always like have like certain arguments of like, oh well, Winter Soldier is the spy movie. Is the one I can think of off the top of my head. It's the one I always think up off the top of my head, and like, you know, the Thor movies are the high fantasy like magic and everything movies and whatnot, and like Iron Man is supposed to be very grounded, and so is Captain America, and like how do we, and eventually, we throw this all together, but at the same time, I to your point though, is like it still always feels like it's kind of like shot in the same light, if you will. Whereas like you're saying, like Superman will be like a colorful, vibrant. This movie's about hope because that's what Superman is supposed to symbolize, and whatnot. And it's not going to be like tone, like visually, like a bunch of grays and blacks and that dark tones, like the entire Snyderverse was, or at least tried to be at first. It lightened up as it went on because they realized how well, if we can't beat them, join them. So they attempted that, is how I feel like that direction went. Whereas, yeah, James, like you said, like to your point, like we'll have a nice family friendly Superman movie, and then when we get to stuff like Swamp Thing, which I actually forgot that they're like making a point of. But yeah, that's probably going to be like hopefully a lot darker, because I mean it is a dark element to the whole origin of that character, you know but yeah, so looking forward to it. It does suck that it's still a whole year away, not a year and a half, but about a year and a couple months away by now. But they are filming it.
It
uh
just started, baby.
Real quick too with this, because the characters in this movie that we're talking about, it was very interesting to see today in some tweets on Twitter. I don't know if Gunn directly, I think Gunn even directly said it, but the Peacemaker show, which is also something he and I would recommend. It is quite entertaining as well. It's very funny at times. But season 1 is a part of the DCEU, and it's a part of the old, and now season 2 will be a part of the DCU, and canonically taking place after Superman that we get next year. And they are filming that this summer, according to James Gunn's wife. She kind of like replied to someone on either Twitter or Instagram and kind of spilled that. So our stuff is coming at least. It just is kind of quite far away.
Yeah, and I mean it's it sucks in a way, but I think we've talked about it before. I think it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Kind of give a little time to let the despite how you feel about the Snyderverse or the old DCE, it was very controversial. It didn't hit with everybody. I think DC could kind of benefit, kind of being out of the light for kind of getting a refresh and a rebreath everybody's eyes. So it could be a benefit in the long run to kind of have by then it'll be probably like 2 years without any. I mean, we'll have Joker this year, Joker 2 this year. So I mean, and the Batman 2 apparently next scripts apparently that's apparently still supposed to release next year. Well, so far. So we still have DC content, just nothing in the main connected universe until.
Which, and again, and then even too on the Marvel front, we're not getting a whole bunch this year, and it's probably a good thing just for the genre. Disney kind of overly saturated it, and Warner Brothers definitely didn't help. Also trying to pump all their stuff out, so I think a break. Huh?
And eventually, like you said, pivoting and moving to a more Marvel tone, and we're already getting oversaturated with content. Why would we, as a general audience, want to go watch this tonally very much the same, but
just different characters?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the numbers speak for themselves as far as the box office and done with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a bright future for the DCU and Marvel. It's too late. Seems like they're making moves to correct that as well. So that does it. That ends the DCEU review in memoriam. Next we got X-Men coming up. All them bad boys and prep for Deadpool and Wolverine. So look forward to that going out in the future. Yeah. Until next time, KP, where can the people find you?
You can always find me every Tuesday and Thursday on Twitch at Politesk. All socials the same name, and we will of course provide the link below.
And you can find me on Twitch and other socials like Twitter, aka X gonna give it to you at your boy Jsib. Links also down below. Till next time, I'm your boy Jsib.
And I'm KP.
See ya later.